So, hello and welcome along to another edition of Isolation Interviews for Hospital Radio Reading and for my YouTube channel. And I'm super excited that my guest is one of the stars of Neighbours, the fantastic Craig Hall. How are you, Craig?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, nice to meet you after all the back and forth chatting.
I know it's great to finally get you on, and obviously we will be talking about Neighbours. But first of all, I wanted to kind of find out for you where the love of acting first came from. How did you kind of know that that was where you wanted to take your career?
Um, it's sort of hard to pinpoint the exact time, but I remember I was sort of telling someone the other day, seeing Michael J. Fox kind of uh, Back to the Future, and Family Ties, and it just looked like so much fun what he was doing. I didn't know what it was, but I was like, that looks like that would be a lot of fun. So I think there was that, and then I tried to get I got my parents to take me to this agency when I was about 11 or 12, and that sort of never panned out. And then a few bits and pieces at school. I think when I was around that age, 11, 12, and just sort of really loved doing the drama and sort of acting things out. And then it wasn't until a bit later on, maybe 19, and I was hanging out with some people who were actors, and they said, well, if you've got an interest in it, why don't you just go for it, so yeah, with a bit of a push there, I started that path,
And I
that
know
long and winding road.
Now, I know that in Australia, the kind of TV and film industry is quite a small market. Is that the same in New Zealand, which is obviously where you are?
Even smaller. Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah. It's not a big population here. I mean, in terms of the size of the place, it still produces a lot of stuff. Um, and they've managed to have a decent, a decent career here. But obviously, since 2008, I've kind of spanned between New Zealand and Australia, and then lived in Australia from sort of 2010, 2011 up to we just sold a property that we had in Sydney earlier in the year. So, but yeah, it's back and forth because, you want to spread the net as far and wide as you can.
And
But
I,
yeah, they're relatively small industries in terms of looking at the rest of the world and what sort of goes on in, say, the States or the UK. Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, you've had an amazing career, but how did Neighbours come about for you? Because such a huge, popular show. So for you, when that came knocking, how did that work? How did that come about?
I was last year. I'd gone traveling. I basically bought a one-way ticket to Europe, and but was auditioning. Just I was putting down audition tapes as I was going, and then the Neighbours audition came through, and I was in France at the time, but I was about to fly to Edinburgh for the Fringe Festival, and I was meeting a friend there, and I was like, "Can you help me put this audition down? I got this audition for Neighbours, and it said British accent." I was like, "Well, great. Well, I'm in Edinburgh. My parents are Scottish. I'll do I'll do my Scottish accent as my British accent." Um, Put it down. Felt pretty good about it. Sent it off, and they came back and said, "Oh, we were meeting maybe English accent." So I did that, and then they came back and said, "Just do your accent." um, so yeah, that's how it kind of worked out. But the audition came through, and I was pretty stoked because it's Neighbours is just as part of the tapestry. It's like it's so iconic, and I grew up kind of watching it. In the late 80s, early 90s, I watched a lot of it. And yeah, and then it came through, and I was still in Scotland when it sort of came through, and they said, "All right, well, let's do this. And I was hanging out in the UK and in London, and seeing these posters and bus stop, you know, signs for the reboot, and I was like, oh wow, okay, great. I love how it's just such a loved program, you know, and quite far afield from Australia, and so yeah, it felt really good, and super stoked to go and do it, and had an absolute ball. I've just wrapped. Um, Spoiler alert, I'm not sure. I just wrapped on Friday there
I
on
mean,
this last sort of
I was
leg.
go I was gonna say, I mean, for you guys when you're in, Australia filming it, and obviously when you're in New Zealand, are you aware of the kind of the love for the show over in the UK? Is that something that you're aware of before you joined the show?
I think I was aware. I think I was aware of it like back in the day. You know, because I'd worked with some people who were on the show, and they had great success in the UK based on, you know, on Neighbours being their very strong calling card. And then I hadn't really sort of taken much notice for a while, but then I think since being on the show and just and reading things and seeing stuff, you know, just how popular it is. And then I was staying with friends in London, and yeah, a friend of mine, Jamie, who's you know, from the UK, he said, "Oh God, yeah, that show used to come home, and it was on twice a day, I think." And he was like, "Yeah, I would watch it both times, you know." And like he knew what he was asking me. So what characters do you working with? Like he knew all the, you know. So it kind of made me realize just how popular it still is, you know. Yeah,
So
which is awesome.
and also, I imagine when you find out that you're going to be playing the husband of, Jane Harris, playing Jane, that she's an iconic character. Anyone who's watched it from, back in the 80s will know who
Absolutely.
she is. So for you, had you ever met her before? What was that like when you got to work with her?
Well, I'd never met her before, and I've kind of intimated, but I didn't tell her straight out. But like, yeah, I mean, back in the day, I had a massive crush on her. Thought she was amazing, you know. So it was it was quite strange, quite surreal in some ways to then be working with her and standing opposite her and playing scenes. But she very quickly put me at ease, and she's just such a wonderful person, wonderful actress, and yeah, it was a great privilege, and kind of like a yeah, like my 18-year-old self dream, you know. um, Let alone have two kids with her. I mean, you know, come on.
Now, obviously, the storylines were fantastic, but how much did you know about Victor when you started filming? Were you aware of the whole kind of evolution of his character, or were you sort of kind of were things kept back from you?
Well, they sent quite a you know, in-depth kind of brief of the character, which gave me a good understanding of him. And then I picked things up along the way, and you know, Annie would tell me things that, you know, she said, "Oh, you know, Vic's been mentioned time and time again," and she would tell me a few of the things that, you know, I'm like, "Oh God, okay." um, but it's great to have that because there's this immediate history as soon as you walk on. You know, there's this immediate opinion of you from the characters that know about you, and yeah, and it was just nice to play into that. You know, there was just a real sense of history, and I really loved. Yeah, Annie and I just we yeah, just really felt like there was history with us, you know, and I guess it's through hearing some of the stories and and kind of just how wonderful she is. Like we really dropped in pretty quick. So it was kind of easy to get a handle on him, you know. Um, and I knew that sort of, you know, he gets where he is through a lot of charm, you know. So I didn't want to sort of make him any, you know, sort of mustache twirling. You know, yeah, he can't. He likes people, and he loves to talk and flirt and bounce off people, and that loves that energy, you know. And it was also nice to play with Hannah, because Nicolette is sort of talked about that Nicolette is definitely like Vic's daughter, like they've got the same kind of edge. So just seeing what Hannah was doing with Nicolette, it was like, oh, okay, I can kind of cheeky it up, and I can kind of, be a bit devilish and or direct, or have a laugh, or yeah, yeah.
Now it's
So yeah,
got
they made it very easy for me.
now it's got to be mentioned, of course, not only did you get to work alongside Annie Jones, I mean, your kind of on-screen love rival, although you never got to meet him, was obviously Guy Pearce, which that must be quite strange to be kind of, involved in a
Oh, right,
love
yes,
triangle with someone like him.
yeah. I just everywhere I look in the Harris house, there's pictures of him. You know, wearing motorcycle jackets and stuff, looking cool. So
Have you ever got
yeah, no, it was
have you ever
it
got
was funny because I mean, I put those two characters, and watching them from years back, those two characters go together. It's like bread and butter, and so yeah, I was very aware of the of probably how much audiences would not want me to come between. Um, but yeah, so it was interesting. It was and the funny thing is the character Mike was supposed to be living in Edinburgh, which is where I was when I auditioned for it, and was going to do the accent, and then and he rides motorbikes. I'm like, I'm a motorbike fan. I was like, he's stolen my thunder. What's going on?
And have you ever met Guy in real life?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. No, no, I haven't had the privilege of that. I've got a few friends that worked with him recently on a film, and said only nice things about him, and yeah, and I love his work. I think he's very very good, and so yeah, yeah, nice to be very an honor to be in the triangle with with such company.
Now, obviously, the great thing with the Stone family, the two fantastic kids, Nicolette and Byron, and for you getting to work with, obviously, you mentioned.
Is this getting too dark, Matthew? Should I turn on a light?
No, it's all right. That's not a problem at all.
Is that all right? Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
cool.
it's absolutely fine. But yeah, so with regards to the Stone children, obviously you've got Nicolette, who we did mention, Hannah briefly. You also get to work with Xavier, who plays Byron. What was
Hmm.
that like getting to work with them and kind of becoming a part of the Stone family? What was that like on the show?
Um, there's such great people and such great actors, and like they come with a lot of energy for the work, and Xavier had like he always has these fantastic ideas. Like he comes with these big offers, which can sometimes make a scene sing, and it was interesting because I got on with them, like a house on fire. But obviously for the first part, with Xavier, Byron's not supposed to be really um, enjoying Vic being in Erinsborough. So yeah, it was interesting playing that dynamic. But we had fun, man. We had so much fun, and then we got to do things like the mini golf, all those sorts of things, and just yeah, I have a laugh with those guys on set like constantly. It's yeah, it's a real ball, and I think we kind of carved out the relationships pretty early on, and and obviously Nicolette is kind of Vic's little girl, and like in some ways in her eyes to a point can do no wrong, and so and has had a lot of contact with her, so I think he gets all of his information from her about what's happening in the family, and she feels close to him because she's sort of stayed in contact, and so it's interesting when some of that stuff gets turned around, and but yeah, absolute gift. Like yeah, it feels like a little family. I love it. I love it.
I mean,
Yeah.
the great thing as well is we obviously talk about the show and how popular it is, and the great thing with Victor is that although he's quite he's got his nasty side that I think at the moment on screen we're still seeing that sort of progression, but there's also that lovely side with his kids
Oh
like
yeah,
we
yeah.
mentioned that's very you get to see a bit more of a human side to him, and that all he wants to do is look after his kids and make sure that when he's gone, they've got something to treasure. So, I mean, for yourself as an actor, that must be quite
Yeah,
fun to play. You've got that mixture of light and shade, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know where are you up to
So at the moment,
at the moment? So
we've just seen that Victor has basically tried to offer Leo money for the vineyard. So that's where we're at the moment. We haven't got the answer yet, as it
right,
were. So
right, right.
that's kind of where we are at the moment.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I think yeah. I mean, I think the thing is he's been off being a bit of a wheeler dealer, a bit of a scoundrel, kind of like never really been there for his family. I think when he gets the diagnosis, it really hits him that he doesn't want to die alone, and he's missed all these opportunities. And so that I think that's foremost in his mind, is to be with them, is to reconcile and and sort of in some ways make up for and make sure that the kids have a decent future. So yeah, but in the midst of that, you see the wheeler dealer, you see the shark, you see the guy that's you know into cutting deals and maybe yeah, getting the best that he can. So it's an interesting dynamic because it's really there's a sadness there, um, but he kind of I think he's covering over that with doing this for the kids, and so yeah, all that stuff is super fun to play, and oh my god, there's a whole lot of stuff to come that's
It's a shame that we
really
can't get
quite
spoilers out of you, but
interesting.
the show is doing so well at the moment, and I
I
mean,
know, I know.
and the other thing we must mention as well is the kind of there was that early bond between Vic and Sadie when obviously he kind of was persuading Sadie to keep his secret about the cancer diagnosis initially.
Mm.
I mean, what was your experience of working with Emerald? I mean, I had her on the show literally, a couple of days ago. So, I mean, getting to work with, all this
Oh well,
amazing new talent must be great.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're all really wonderful there, and I guess they've had to sort of prove their mettle to get on the show, first off, because it's the level of acting there, the standard is very, very high, and it's a great load of work, so you kind of have to be up to snuff to um but it sort of blows me away that these very young actors are just nailing stuff left, right, and center, and it was really nice to work with them. Like yeah, we had some interesting stuff. I think because Byron thinks that I'm being inappropriate with her, and the audience thinks in the beginning that she's seen the money that was on my screen, so that it's that, and then the sort of the reveal that she knows that I'm sick. It's a yeah, and how I just love the turn of events that made the confession of the sickness be, how that came out. I thought it was really smart writing, and really well played by both them and Zav. Yeah, it was fun. I had fun with them. It was great. It's a great energy to be on set with, because they seem to just be able to switch it on. They're just there, and they just do it. So yeah, it's like okay, just need to hit the ground running. Yeah.
Now up until recently, we haven't really seen much interaction with yourself and some of the kind of the Neighbours legends, as it were. I mean, like the likes of Stefan Dennis,
Mm.
Jackie Woodburn, Alan Fletcher, Ian Smith. Have you got to do much with them over the time on your show, or on your time on the show even?
Um, Jackie and Alan. Yep, there's some stuff. That got to do with them. I didn't work with Ian or Stefan. Much to my disappointment. They're absolute legends. But yeah, I got to play a little bit there, and a couple other cast. So it was great. I mean, I'd love to, be love to be able to ping pong and play with all of them. But yeah, there's been a few little interactions here and there with others, and then some major stuff with other characters. I'm not sure if I'm able to say
Probably not just yet. We
who.
don't want to give any spoilers away
Probably not
just
just
yet.
yet. Yeah.
No.
I think if I said who, yeah, it might really sort of spoil some things.
But that will get people excited, which is what we love to do here. Obviously, people
Great.
can keep watching Neighbours. It's here in the UK. You can watch it on Amazon Freevee. It's set Monday to Thursday, drops at 7 a.m. So thank you for joining me and talking about that. But before we go, what have you got coming up now that you've left the show? What can people look forward to going forward?
Well, I've got doing a movie later in the year called Holy Days. It's adapted from a Joy Cowley novel with the wonderful Miriam Margolyes and Judy Davis and Joanna Scanlon and numerous amazing Kiwi actors. Written and directed by Natalie Bolt. So that's coming out. Looking forward to that. Hopefully, I shot a TV series that's been out here. I don't know what's happening sales wise with that elsewhere, called Testify. Just waiting to hear if we go to season 2 on that. So there's a couple of things in the one definitely in the pipeline, and others possibly coming along the way. So yeah, but always keep myself busy.
And just before we
And
go,
who knows?
and I just want to say, just before we go, is there any messages you'd like to give to the patients who are stuck in hospital here in Reading, or any of the amazing sort of doctors and nurses that have been working tirelessly? What would you like to say to them?
Oh, I take my hat off to the doctors and nurses, and the work just feels, I don't know, it's an amazing job. I sort of, I sometimes think as an actor, like, I've played plenty of doctors, but I really take my hat off to people in the medical profession looking after people. I think it's just, yeah, it's amazing work, and well done, and keep up the good work. And to all the patients, wishing everyone well and speedy recoveries and a pleasant stay. And tune into Neighbours, or make the time go faster.
Now, I just want to say, Craig, it's been an
Yeah,
absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for giving up your time. Of course, keep safe, and you are welcome back anytime.
awesome. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate it, mate. You take care. All the best.